the vast, untamed wilderness of 19th century America. A land of breathtaking beauty and brutal indifference. For the frontiersmen, the trappers, the long hunters who dared to venture beyond the settlements, survival wasn't just about skill with a rifle or knowledge of the land. It was etched into the very fibers of the clothes they wore. Forget fashion. Forget comfort as we know it. We're talking about a second skin, a layer of defense against biting winds, soaking rains, scorching sun, and the constant threat of thorns, insects, and unforgiving terrain. Every stitch, every material, every design choice was dictated by harsh necessity. Their clothing wasn't just worn, it was wielded. What were these essential garments? How did materials like buckskin, wool, and linen shield them from the elements? How did the unique blend of Native American ingenuity and European practicality create the iconic look of the frontiersman? What secrets did their clothing hold that meant the difference between life and death? My name is Sam, and this is Wild America. Tonight, we're peeling back the layers, examining the essential wardrobe that kept these rugged individuals alive against all odds. From head to toe, these weren't just clothes. They were armor, tools, and a testament to human resilience in the face of the wild. 7 key pieces, 7 layers of survival. This is the story of the clothing that dressed the wild frontier. Number 1, the buckskin hunting shirt, armor of the wilderness. If there's one garment synonymous with the American frontiersman, it's the buckskin shirt or frock. More than just clothing, this was often the primary shield against the harsh realities of the wild. Its origins lie deep in the practical wisdom of Native American cultures, adapted and adopted by Europeans who quickly recognized its unparalleled advantages. Imagine the process. Starting not with bolts of cloth, but with the hide of a deer, elk, or sometimes buffalo. Tanning this hide, often using the animal's own brains, a method perfected over centuries by indigenous peoples, transformed the raw skin into a soft, pliable, yet incredibly tough material. Buckskin. We've touched on the incredible resourcefulness needed for survival, like in our episode on frontier medicine, and brain tanning is another prime example of using every part of the animal. Why buckskin? Durability, first and foremost. It could withstand incredible abuse, resisting tears and punctures from thorns, branches, and rough terrain far better than woven fabrics of the time. For a man pushing through dense undergrowth or scrambling over rocks, this was essential protection. It was also remarkably quiet, a crucial advantage when stalking game or needing to move undetected. The soft material didn't rustle like canvas or stiff wool. Often designed as a loose-fitting pullover frock or shirt, extending to the mid-thigh or even knees, it provided ample coverage. The cut was usually simple, reflecting its utilitarian purpose. But the most distinctive feature? The fringe. Far from being merely decorative, the fringe served critical functions. It helped wick rainwater away from the main body of the garment, directing droplets off the edges, rather than letting them soak in. In wet conditions, this could significantly speed up drying time. And in a pinch, those long strands of buckskin could be cut off and used as emergency cordage for repairs, tying bundles, or countless other tasks. However, buckskin wasn't perfect. Its biggest drawback was its behavior when wet. Unlike wool, buckskin absorbs water readily, becoming heavy, clammy, and losing much of its insulating property. Once soaked, it could take a very long time to dry, potentially chilling the wearer to the bone, a dangerous situation in cold weather. This is why frontiersmen often relied on a combination of materials, adapting their layers to the conditions. But for dry weather, for pushing through rough country, for blending into the natural environment, the buckskin hunting shirt was king. It was tough, quiet, and readily available if you had the skill to hunt and process the hide. It was the iconic armor of the wilderness warrior. Number 2, wool, the wet weather warrior. While buckskin excelled in dry conditions and rough terrain, it had a critical weakness: water. When the skies opened up, or when crossing rivers was unavoidable, the frontiersman needed a different kind of protection. Enter wool, the unsung hero of wet and cold weather survival. Unlike buckskin or cotton, wool possesses a remarkable natural property. It retains a significant portion of its insulating ability even when soaking wet. This is due to the complex structure of wool fibers which trap air pockets and resist complete saturation. For a man exposed to prolonged rain, snow, or freezing temperatures, wearing wool could literally mean the difference between staying functional and succumbing to hypothermia. Wool garments came in various forms. Simple, sturdy wool shirts provided a crucial insulating layer, often worn over a lighter linen or cotton shirt. We'll get to those. But perhaps the most iconic wool garment of the fur trade era, particularly in colder regions, was the capote or blanket coat. Often crafted from heavy wool trade blankets, like those famously distributed by the Hudson's Bay Company. These were hooded, wraparound coats, sometimes belted with a colorful sash. They offered incredible warmth and protection from wind and snow. The blanket itself was a multi-use item, serving as bedding at night and outerwear by day, embodying the resourcefulness we saw when discussing how mountain men built their cabins with minimal resources. The thickness and quality of the wool mattered, of course. Tightly woven wool offered better wind resistance, while thicker, loftier wool provided more insulation. Natural lanolin in the wool also offered a degree of water repellency, though heavy rain would eventually soak through. Dyes were often simple, with deep blues, reds, and greens being common, sometimes incorporating stripes or patterns from the original trade blankets. Wool trousers or breeches were also common, offering warmth and durability, though perhaps less resistant to abrasion than buckskin. Wool socks or wrappings inside moccasins were essential for keeping feet warm and reducing friction. Wool wasn't as quiet as buckskin, and it could be itchy against the skin if not worn over another layer. It was also heavier, especially when wet. But its ability to provide warmth, even in damp, miserable conditions, made it an indispensable part of the frontiersman's wardrobe. It was the reliable workhorse, the garment you reached for when the weather turned truly nasty, proving that sometimes the old ways, like relying on the natural properties of sheep's fleece, were the best ways to survive the wild. Number 3. The linen or cotton shirt, the unseen essential. Beneath the rugged exterior of buckskin or wool, there was usually another layer, one perhaps less iconic, but no less important. The simple shirt, typically made of linen, or increasingly throughout the 19th century, cotton. This was the garment worn next to the skin. Its primary role was comfort and basic hygiene, absorbing sweat and providing a barrier against the itchiness of wool or the sometimes rough interior of a buckskin garment. Think of it as the foundational layer upon which the rest of the survival wardrobe was built. Linen, made from the flax plant, was a traditional choice. It's strong, durable, and surprisingly good at wicking moisture away from the skin, helping to keep the wearer relatively dry from perspiration. It also dries faster than cotton. However, producing linen was labor-intensive, making it more expensive. Cotton, on the other hand, became increasingly available and affordable, especially in the later frontier period. It was soft and comfortable against the skin. But cotton holds a deadly secret, summed up in the old outdoorsman adage: cotton kills. When cotton gets wet, it loses almost all its insulating properties and clings to the skin, actively drawing heat away from the body. In cold, wet conditions, a soaked cotton shirt could rapidly lead to hypothermia. Frontiersmen understood this danger, often preferring wool or linen when conditions were harsh, or ensuring their cotton layers stayed dry under protective outerwear. Another common material for work shirts was osnaburg, a coarse, plain-woven fabric often made from flax or hemp tow, the shorter fibers. It was cheap, durable, and functional, though not particularly comfortable. The cut of these shirts was generally simple, loose-fitting, pullover style, often reaching the upper thigh. They might have a simple band collar or no collar at all, with a short placket opening at the neck, sometimes closed with simple buttons made of bone, wood, or pewter, or just tied shut with laces. Sleeves were full, allowing for freedom of movement, essential for tasks like paddling a canoe, swinging an axe, like those used to build the cabins we discussed, or aiming a rifle. While perhaps not as glamorous as a fringed buckskin jacket, the humble linen or cotton shirt was a constant companion, the essential base layer that absorbed the daily grime and sweat, providing a small measure of comfort in a life defined by hardship. It was the unseen workhorse of the frontiersman's wardrobe. Number 4. Leggings and breeches, covering the lower half. Protecting the legs was just as crucial as covering the torso. Frontiersmen faced a constant barrage from below: thorny brush, sharp rocks, biting insects, snakes, and the chill rising from damp ground. Their legwear needed to be tough, protective, and allow for unrestricted movement. Two main styles dominated: leggings and breeches or trousers. Leggings, heavily influenced by Native American design, were essentially separate tubes of material covering each leg, usually from the ankle up to the thigh. They were held up by straps or thongs attached to a belt worn around the waist. Often a breechcloth, a simple flap of cloth or leather passing between the legs and tucked into the belt front and back, was worn underneath to cover the groin area. This combination offered excellent freedom of movement, crucial for climbing, running, or riding. Buckskin was a prime material for leggings due to its durability and resistance to abrasion, often featuring fringe along the outer seam for the same reasons as on shirts: water wicking and spare cordage. Wool leggings were also used, especially in colder weather, providing warmth even when damp. Breeches and trousers, more European in style, were also common. Breeches typically ended just below the knee, often fastened with buttons or ties, and were worn with long stockings or socks. Trousers extended down to the ankle. Materials varied widely. Wool was common for its warmth and durability. Linen and sturdy cotton canvas, or fustian, a blend, often cotton and linen, were used in warmer weather or as workwear. Buckskin trousers, while incredibly durable, could be hot and stiff compared to leggings, but offered maximum protection in rough conditions. We saw similar sturdy materials like denim mentioned in the context of work pants on Crazy Crow's site, showing the evolution towards tougher fabrics. Many frontiersmen adopted a hybrid approach, perhaps wearing European-style trousers made of wool or canvas, or combining buckskin leggings with a cloth breechcloth. The choice often depended on personal preference, the specific environment, the season, and what materials were available through trade or personal crafting. Whether leggings or trousers, the goal was the same: robust protection for the legs, enabling movement through unforgiving landscapes while warding off the constant small threats that could incapacitate a man far from help. Number 5. Moccasins, footwear for stealth and survival. Footwear on the frontier was a constant challenge. Heavy European-style boots were often impractical for long treks, difficult to repair in the wilderness, and noisy. The solution, once again, often came from Native American ingenuity: the moccasin. Made typically from a single piece of soft tanned leather, usually deerskin, folded and stitched in various traditional patterns, the moccasin was the ultimate minimalist footwear. Its soft sole allowed the wearer to feel the ground beneath their feet, promoting a stealthy tread essential for hunting or avoiding detection. Unlike hard-soled boots, moccasins enabled the frontiersman to move almost silently through the forest, a skill paramount to survival. Different styles existed, adapted to various terrains and tribal customs. Some had soft soles suitable for forest floors, while others incorporated a tougher rawhide sole for better protection against rocks and cacti in more arid regions. Center seam, side seam, and pucker toe are just a few examples of construction styles. They might be ankle high or extend further up the calf, sometimes with flaps that could be worn up or down depending on conditions. Comfort and fit were key. Moccasins molded to the wearer's feet over time, offering a custom fit that reduced the likelihood of blisters on long journeys. In cold weather, they could be stuffed with grass, leaves, or fur for insulation, or worn over thick wool stockings. Their simple construction also meant they were relatively easy to repair in the field, using basic tools, an awl, sinew, or leather thongs, and perhaps a spare piece of hide. This repairability was a massive advantage over complex boots that might fail catastrophically far from any settlement. However, like buckskin shirts, traditional soft-soled moccasins offered little protection from moisture. Wet ground or stream crossings would quickly soak the leather, chilling the feet. They also wore out relatively quickly compared to sturdy boots, requiring frequent repair or replacement. A frontiersman might carry several pairs or the materials to make new ones on an extended journey. Despite these drawbacks, the moccasin's advantages in stealth, comfort, and repairability made it the footwear of choice for many who lived and traveled deep in the wilderness. It represented a direct connection to the earth, allowing the wearer to read the terrain through the soles of their feet, a sensitivity lost with heavy, rigid boots. It was footwear born of the landscape itself. Number 6. Headwear, protection from the elements. Protecting the head was just as vital as covering the body. The frontiersmen faced scorching sun, driving rain, biting cold, and even falling debris or low-hanging branches. Headwear wasn't a fashion statement, it was essential gear. Several types of headwear were common, varying by region, season, and personal preference. Felt hats. Wide-brimmed felt hats, often made from beaver felt, a byproduct of the very trade that drove many into the wilderness, or wool felt, were incredibly practical. The wide brim offered excellent protection from both sun and rain, shielding the face and neck. Felt, especially beaver felt, was naturally water-resistant and durable. These hats could be shaped and styled in various ways, but function usually trumped fashion. A sturdy felt hat could serve as a makeshift water bucket, a fan, or even a pillow in a pinch. Fur caps. In cold weather, nothing beat the insulating power of fur. Caps made from beaver, raccoon, the iconic coonskin cap, fox, otter, or other fur bearers provided essential warmth. Often featuring ear flaps that could be tied down in severe cold or up in milder weather, these caps trapped body heat effectively. The coonskin cap, often associated with figures like Davy Crockett, became a symbol of the frontier, though various styles of fur caps were worn. Crafting these required skinning and tanning skills, again highlighting the connection between hunting and survival gear. Cloth caps and bandanas. Simpler options included basic cloth caps, perhaps made of wool or linen, offering some protection from sun and cold. Bandanas, or simple kerchiefs tied around the head, could help manage sweat, keep hair out of the eyes, and offer minimal sun protection. While less protective than felt or fur, they were lightweight and easily carried. Losing body heat through the head is a quick path to hypothermia in the cold. Sunstroke could incapacitate a man under the summer sun. Rain dripping into the eyes could obscure vision at a critical moment. The right headwear mitigated these risks, acting as a crucial piece of the frontiersman's personal environmental control system. It was the roof over the most important tool he possessed, his mind. Number 7. Belts, sashes, and bags, carrying the essentials. A sturdy leather belt was almost universal. More than just holding up trousers or leggings, it served as a mounting point for numerous items. A knife sheath, a tomahawk or axe loop, a possibles bag, and sometimes even a pistol could be attached directly to the belt. This kept the most frequently needed tools, the ones we discussed in our survival tools episode, within instant reach. Colorful wool sashes, often associated with French voyageurs and Métis culture, but adopted by many Anglo-frontiersmen, were also popular. Wound tightly around the waist several times, these wide sashes provided back support during heavy lifting or paddling. They could also serve as an emergency bandage, a rope, or a place to tuck smaller items like a knife or pistol. Their bright colors also added a rare splash of personality to the often drab wilderness attire. The possibles bag was perhaps the most crucial accessory. This wasn't part of the clothing itself, but it was invariably worn with it, usually slung over the shoulder via a strap and resting at the hip, often secured further by the waist belt. Typically made of leather, this bag held the immediate necessities for the frontiersman's rifle and survival. Lead balls, patching material, flint and steel, or later, percussion caps. A priming horn or flask, maybe some basic tools, emergency tinder, and anything else deemed possible to need at a moment's notice. It was the lifeline, the mobile toolkit, and its contents were meticulously maintained. Similarly, the powder horn containing the main supply of black powder was usually slung over the shoulder via a strap, carefully positioned for easy access when reloading. Its natural waterproof qualities made horn the ideal material for keeping the precious powder dry. These carrying systems, belts, sashes, possibles bags, powder horns, were extensions of the clothing, seamlessly integrating gear with attire. They ensured that whether tracking game, facing danger, or simply making camp, the essential tools for survival were never more than a hand's reach away. They completed the ensemble, turning the frontiersman into a self-sufficient unit ready to face the wild. So there you have it. Buckskin, wool, linen, leggings, moccasins, hats, and the essential belts and bags. Each piece tells a story of adaptation, resourcefulness, and the relentless demands of the American frontier. This wasn't clothing chosen for looks, it was clothing chosen for life itself. From the quiet stealth of the moccasin to the rugged protection of the buckskin frock, every garment played a role in the daily drama of survival. Understanding what these men and women wore gives us a deeper appreciation for the challenges they faced and the ingenuity they employed. What piece of frontier clothing do you find most fascinating? Let us know in the comments below. And if you haven't already, check out our episodes on building frontier cabins or the essential tools these frontiersmen relied on. Thanks for joining us on Wild America. Until next time, stay wild.